according to Zack Snyder, there's two major guiding forces of the DC universe. Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns. And everything should be in the same tone and style as Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns.
Well, Dark Knight Returns was a good movie, but everything should be in
Everything should be in the same tone as those two things. And it's like, what about characters like Booster Gold?
Yeah.
Or the Blue Beetle? Or Superman's definitely not in any one of those two veins of what he's talking about. You know?
No. So even pre-Dark Knight Returns, like you go back to Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton fully leaned into the gothic. Sometimes it was even campy. Sometimes it was actually quite, grotesque in a classical sense, which is cool. I feel like that's totally what he was going for.
I felt like
and
he was kind of going towards like some Universal monsters.
Yeah, and
German expressionism.
Yeah. And with Batman, gothic can work.
Yeah.
Gothic just does not work for Superman.
No.
He's specifically supposed to be this bright,
optimistic,
optimist, symbol of truth and justice.
Yeah.
Very cereal box patriotism.
Yeah.
Even more so than Captain America.
Oh, yeah. So it's like to run all of that through the mud, you know, it's like, no, dude, it's not supposed to work that way. Now, not every DC hero is, you know, a Superman ripoff either.
Yeah.
There's some of them who are kind of dark like Batman, but not every motherfucker is a Batman ripoff. You know?
I thought that The Dark Knight was excellent since the day I first saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Watchmen, I think the director's cut, the extended director's cut was good. The theatrical cut had a lot of issues, in my humble opinion. I'm not trying to crap on filmmakers because even the theatrical cut, there's so many things that movie did that were just visually spectacular. But as far as holding my attention, was I entertained? Just as a regular audience member, director's cut does it for me. And I remember a lot of Watchmen fans, people who are big fans of the comic book, the same way a lot of people were straining to publicly pretend that they liked episode 1 before the general public felt comfortable enough to criticize the prequels. I could see those old Watchmen fans not feeling the confidence to just say that they didn't like it and actively straining to find a whole bunch of good things about it. But I do remember that seeing it the first time and saying, wow, is that what this is supposed to be? And then seeing the director's cut and saying, well, okay, this is the way it is supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, because Alan... Okay, so here's what I say about Alan Moore.
Okay.
Alan Moore, first of all, in my opinion, is the snapshot picture of somebody who smells their own farts. Okay?
Yeah.
Everything he does is great and fantastic and does not need to be self-criticized or reevaluated, and it's just perfect the way it's shat out on the page. Okay? This motherfucker, for years, has said that his work is unfilmable.
Is it, though?
And it's like, Alan, you know that you work in a visual medium, right?
Yeah.
You know that comic books...
I was going to say, all those pictures...
are sequential storytelling.
It's like they did the storyboards
like
for the filmmaker.
And that's what Zack Snyder did. He basically...
Well, that's why 300 was so freaking spectacular. The cool movie in and of itself, but it was a visual comic book.
Yeah. That's the way it was seen.
And even the way a lot of motion comics that you can see on YouTube work today, they're inspired directly by what 300 did as a film.
Yeah. And it's like Alan Moore You're a fuckhead for saying something like that. You think that you're like the smartest goddamn person on the planet. Your work is unfilmable. That's like saying you can't reproduce the Mona Lisa. You know? And it's like, do you know how many people have done that?
I have heard certain people say things like Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian is unfilmable. This is other people talking about his work. He never said that about his own work, to the best of my knowledge. My question for you is, what's the likelihood that this conversation ever gets back to Alan Moore? I was going to ask, like, are we going to lose any friends here?
Oh, no. No.
Was Alan Moore about to call us and say, like, hey, I'm gonna cooperate with Darth Zach and Space Wizard on a film?
No.
And then he hears this, and he's like, nah, fuck those guys.
No. The fact that Zack Snyder ordered like 100 copies of the Watchmen trade paperback, right? Tore all the pages out. Like, if you see the behind-the-scenes specials, you know?
And that's how he did the storyboard.
That's literally what they did, okay? They literally either made color copies of all the storyboards or something,
well,
and
damn,
they literally just went, here's page 1.
You saved us about 82 hours.
Right. Right. You've saved us like 3 weeks worth of work, dude.
Marvel Comics is coming out with a line of several miniseries this year that tie into Star Wars Rogue One. This is Cassian Andor issue number 1. It's not just a one-shot. This is going to be at least several issues. And this is the Mandalorian and Grogu variant cover. The regular cover shows Cassian Andor with his eyes closed. We hope you enjoy the new movie that comes out. In the meantime, check out this channel and watch our War of the Bounty Hunter spoiler special. It covers all 34 chapters. And we have a 30-minute video on adaptations and expansions of Star Wars A New Hope. And it wouldn't kill you to follow us on Instagram, huh? So have you seen the DC Comics shelves that they've been putting up at the different Dollar Trees?
Yeah.
I've seen those, and I've seen this at a few places, and why am I going through every Dollar Tree like in North America? Just because throughout the course of my day as a long-distance driver, stopping to get my snacks and whatnot where it's, cheap, because freaking inflation. So I'll see these different locations all up and down California. A lot of them have these different comic books. As an adult, I just don't have time to get back into Superman. I was really into Superman when I was a kid. I was into a whole bunch of other things when I was a kid, but these days, man, my Star Wars comics list is so backlogged, let alone all the other comic book series that are way less important in my life than Star Wars. Ain't got time for those.
I'm not going to watch, I'm not going to read anything from Marvel Star Wars now. No.
I gotta say, Marvel Star Wars has been consistently pleasantly surprising me.
Okay.
And we'll get to them in just a sec, but I have been reading some of the Batman comic books that you see in these dollar store comic shelves, and the way that these guys do it is absolute magnificent bastard geniuses, total genius pirates. They've been republishing older back issues of Batman, Superman, Justice League, Swamp Thing, and republishing them as one-shots, because I see all these number ones.
Yeah.
And for a second I was thinking, wait, are they trying to do all these number ones of different series to get people hooked so that they subscribe to find out what happens next? Well, yes and no. But what they're doing is they're not doing number one of a series. They're just taking like Batman number 37 and then taking the title of that individual issue and republishing that as a one-shot, putting the number one on it. And then there's these editions that they sell exclusively at the dollar store because they all have the same identical advertisement from DC Comics to subscribe on the back. So it is meant to get an audience, and they're trying to push people to subscribe to the digital comics. but they're not trying to do this is a number 1 and you have to subscribe to find out what happens in number 2, which I appreciate. And I'm not just thinking about myself, but I'm thinking about young kids, 10, 11 years old. Maybe you got your allowance or your whatever mowing the lawn money, and you don't have money to go to the retail comic book store. And nowadays, the Marvel and DC ones, they're starting to cost $6 a pop.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're gainfully employed, not a big problem. But if you're one of these young guys and all you've got is your lawnmower money, you're spending $25, $30, $35 just to read Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red. Yeah. So, and while I will give them this, Marvel has been kicking ass with their Star Wars lately. And I like to approach things with an open mind in general, but I've said in some of the comics reviews that I've been doing for the YouTube channel lately, I've been getting more freaking backstory on sequel trilogy characters in like 2 or 3 pages of a Marvel comic book
than you did in the movies?
than I did in the entire freaking trilogy. And I'm talking about, so the latest ones I've been reading, Legacy of Vader, which is not a bad series. The artwork is spectacular. Okay. The writing is very well done. And they're tying this one into between episodes 8 and 9. So he either just became Supreme Leader or he's about to be Supreme Leader. Yeah, he just became Supreme Leader. So you see at the beginning of episode 9, he's annihilating a bunch of little alien dudes at Vader Castle in Mustafar. So this title is exploring that. And of course, we have to make fun of it because he's Kylo Ren. So yes, Legacy of Vader is absolutely Kylo Ren doing like the road trip through all the places in Anakin Skywalker's life so he can do his emotional bonding with his grandfather and kill the past or something. But in just a couple of pages of Legacy of Vader, I will get better exposition on what happened between him and his parents, or what happened between him and the Order, or just, dynamics between him and Hux. Not even Legacy of Vader. Another one I've been reading lately, the Poe Dameron series. They introduced Terex, this First Order intelligence agent that's just a comic book character, and he has this back and forth with Captain Phasma. You get more freaking dialogue and personality and an actual vibe of who Phasma is as an Imperial officer in 2 pages of this comic book, again, than you get in episodes 7 and 8 combined. Again, I'm not trying to crap on the filmmakers, but it's been 10 years since they introduced Captain Phasma.
Yeah,
we still don't know anything. And by the time a lot of people are listening to this, is going on 11 years. We, like you said, we don't know anything about her. And while Rachel is the one person who's been doing that Opus Dei homework of reading every canon Star Wars novel, I don't know why somebody would do that to themselves. And she says, well, if you just read these 30 other books, then you know everything that's going on in the sequel trilogy, and it's really good, and you can appreciate it. And I said, all right, I dig that. I am glad to know that there's things I can read that are going to really enhance this the next time I go through it. The thing is, though, that's kind of a cop-out because...
it really is.
And like the Christian filmmakers use a similar cop-out. Well, we don't make movies, we make sermons on screen. No, that's a cop-out. You made a film, you made a movie, you're making a piece of art, you're telling a story to general audiences. If you're going to make something for a very niche audience, then you need to put a disclaimer like on the banner of it, like adult movies. This is for a very hyper-specific audience, okay? Other than that, if you're making a film, this is for general audiences to consume. And the onus is on you to tell a real story. Yeah. Explain those characters. Why are you suddenly making excuses for the sequels, or the prequels, to be fair, that we did not have to make for the original trilogy?
It's like if you're making a film for sequel trilogy fans.
Yeah.
Out of Star Wars fans, okay? Mm-hmm. You're saying that this film is for this amount of people.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a Star Wars film, like what you just said, it should be for a general audience.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's why Star Wars was so popular.
Yeah, who fell in love with this in 1977? They were not Star Wars fans already when they walked in there in 1977.
Okay,
George told the story.
Something for a general audience.
Yeah.
You're not going to pull out the pulpit and say, "I'm going to teach you about gender politics." I'm going to teach you why being a male is bad.
Okay, so that gives me an opportunity to compare the sequel trilogy with some of what we see in Andor. A lot of they're both aiming for a lot of the same things, and they do aim for some of the same things, including gender politics, immigrant politics, the human rights thing, the war, militarism, a whole bunch of things. You notice, okay, for example, all these people complain about woke Star Wars, woke genderqueer Star Wars. Okay, Andor, they had the makeout scene between the two rebel women. It's been enough months since I saw Andor that I've already forgotten both the characters' names. I'm so sorry, all the Star Wars fans, os omnis. But you notice, nobody was complaining about woke Star Wars when both of the women were hot.
Right.
I'm just saying, nobody was complaining about woke Star Wars. And that wasn't just like a quick little peck like we saw in the sequel trilogy with Carrie Fisher's daughter. Yeah. No, this was a full-on make-out scene. Yeah. It was actually kind of gratuitous. And that's another thing. Andor went certain places where I was very pleasantly surprised that Disney would even go. Like, damn, this is risque. But my point is, we got quote-unquote woke. Nobody was complaining.
Nobody said anything.
When it was hot women kissing. No, they were only complaining when it was women in their 50s and 60s. That's what they're complaining about.
Right?
All right?
General Holdo has purple hair and a ball gown on for some reason.
I never understood the purple hair genuinely did not bother me. I do not understand why. I guess it's a political thing. The blue hair or purple hair thing genuinely bothers people. I don't understand, but I did not understand, okay, why is she wearing a ballroom dress, though?
If she looked like...
That's my only question about Holdo. Literally, the only one.
Looked like General Leia Organa in the Battle of Endor.
Yeah, wearing some type of fatigues, things. Yeah.
A uniform.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it's like, I would even go as far as to critique Leia's costume in The Last Jedi, too. You know, when she did Mary...
Oh, that's right.
When she did Leia Poppins.
Right.
You know? It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I distinctly... Okay, so that does remind me of that one scene, and if anybody's crying about spoilers, shut up. You've had a decade to watch these movies. When that scene happened, remember, Last Jedi came out, was it like...
8 years ago.
A week after Carrie Fisher had passed away? Or maybe she'd passed away a little bit before that.
She passed away a week or so after Rogue One was released.
That's right. So now here's something I haven't explored before. Star Wars screen comics. And this is The Mandalorian, The Rescue. It's an adaptation of the episode where Mando and the gang rescues Grogu from Moff Gideon. And it is quite literally screen caps from the TV show with word bubbles and sound effects added in there. I am not sure how I feel about the whole screen comics thing. I think it really works a lot better with animated movies, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie manga was basically the same concept as screen comics, and that one looked great because it was just animation. Now, the stills of the Dark Troopers look great because the Dark Troopers are just really cool to look at, and those kind of stills are pretty good images overall. But the screen caps look good specifically when there's some color variation between lights and darks. But all the low-lit scenes with low or dim lighting, between the lighting and the low-quality paper that it's printed on, those parts don't particularly look hot. It kind of looks like a lazy adaptation. However, with this being the Mandalorian story where Grogu gets rescued from the Empire, we get the GOAT, Luke Skywalker. So these Screen Comics graphic novels are going for $8. That makes perfect sense because they're not paying a bunch of artists to make this comic book. But I think Screen Comics really only work for productions that are specifically animated, not so much live action. And this one, I think this was just a cash grab from Disney. So I would rather just be reading Star Wars comic books. Matter of fact, if you want Mandalorians, there's a new Boba Fett series from Marvel I'm looking forward to checking out. Was it Force Awakens? Was Han Solo first or Rogue One?
Okay, so it was...
Because we had 5 years of Star Wars, so they released 5 movies in 5 years.
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Rogue One.
That's
The
right.
Last Jedi.
Solo. And then Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
No, actually, it's the Rise of Babu Frick.
Right.
We're calling that one the Rise of Babu Frick because he's my homie. I saw a really cool fan edit. I'm not going to say who it was, but they took out the one part of that movie that mattered to me, which was Babu Frick going, hey. So I was looking forward to it at the end of the battle. Where's my little guy? Hey. And it never came. And I said, fan editor, why did you did me dirty like that, bro? Yeah, so that's my only criticism for Holdo is why was she wearing a ballroom dress like throughout the film? But other than that, I've never been insecure like some of these other frat bro, not even frat bro Star Wars fans, angry divorced dad Star Wars fans. They get mad about having strong female characters. I don't get mad about having strong female protagonists. What the hell do you call Princess Leia?
I don't get mad
technically
about,
she's supporting
those.
She's supporting compared to Luke Skywalker, but it's not that people are mad about strong female. Because again, Rogue One, you had several.
Yeah.
Nobody's complaining about that.
Nobody complained about that.
And I think a lot of people who think they're anti-woke, you're not anti-woke. You're not MAGA. You just don't like ugly people. And you've never been aware of that. And you don't know how to articulate that in words. You don't hate gay people. You just don't like watching old people make out.
What I don't like is that you're injecting a different element into what the expectation was. Okay?
Yeah.
If you're on the bridge of the Resistance ship, why the fuck are there people wearing ball gowns on the ship?
Yeah.
Okay?
And it's one thing if they just had, the annual Life Day Resistance Gala. All right, then I can understand why Holdo would be in the dress. Okay, fine. It's her first day on the ship, and she just got there from Coruscant. She's still wearing the dress. All right, cool. As far as Holdo goes, you know what, though? Actually, again, Marvel has been patching in a lot of the holes. Not just Marvel. Lucasfilm Story Group. Lucas Story Group has been trying to maintain continuity with the character, but now they've been retroactively building a lot of adventures of Holdo and Leia as teenagers on Alderaan. Or teenagers on Coruscant doing junior senator stuff. And for a lot of the kids' stories, it's, pretty ridiculous stories that you have to suspend disbelief for. Part of it is they're trying to create products that they can market and make money off to kids.
Right.
But also, very similar to when they did the multimedia blitz when episode 1 came out, they had the different grade level chapter books. So similar story to that. They're trying to get a younger audience into Star Wars, and nowadays we're looking at these cradle to grave franchises where they're going to hold on to you for your whole life. So like Mickey Mouse is an organic cradle to grave franchise. Walt Disney never planned that he was going to be around, or his brand was still going to be around 85 years later. It just happened to have survived, and Marvel was that way also. But now that they're aware they have fans of all ages, they're doing the cradle to grave thing. So they're creating the content, whole pools of content just for young kids. What's the kids cartoon that they're doing now on Disney Plus?
The Jedi Adventures.
There you go. There is so much Star Wars content these days, which is a first world problem to have.
Yeah.
There is so much Star Wars content these days, I'm not even fully aware of all the stuff that's out there, which is a good problem to have. But yeah, I am... So the point that I was saying is with some of the kids' stories, they have to make them more basic or more silly or childish, and I get that. You're creating content so that little kids can love Star Wars just as much as we do, and that's fine. I'm very happy with what Marvel Comics has been doing. Legacy of Vader is good. Jedi Knights, which is an anthology series, is good. It's got stories with Qui-Gon in there. Always good seeing Liam Neeson. And the Han Solo miniseries was excellent. So what is it? This was, I believe, 2015, 2016. And then in 2017, they published it as a hardcover graphic novel. Not to be confused with the Solo adaptation. This is a different miniseries called Han Solo. Outstanding. That is probably some of the best writing, some of the best artwork that I've seen in a Star Wars comic book in years, and I've seen some pretty spectacular ones. Han Solo went above and beyond, and what I especially liked, two things that I loved about the Han Solo miniseries. Number one, they captured the personality of the character in its purest form as portrayed by Harrison Ford in the 70s and 80s. They got the Harrison Ford persona in this comic book character. And number two, it manages to instill in the reader a sense of awe and wonder in a way that I have not felt with Star Wars in years. I have been very impressed, even amazed. I have been amazed a couple of times by Andor. Andor has made me go, whoa, or damn. But Han Solo made me go, wow.
See, what I find interesting about Andor is that people like Kathleen Kennedy has said that characters outside of the original three, Han, Luke, and Leia, couldn't hold a Star Wars movie that would grab viewers' attention. Okay? And now these side characters to side characters are the main focus.
Yeah.
And they're the critical acclaim right now. You know, they're what people want to see.
Well, yeah, sorry, Kathleen. I think she was mistaken on that one. And I am saying this as one of the male Kathleen Kennedy simps. I am totally unapologetic. I will stand in front of all the Star Wars fans and be booed at a convention. I will simp for Kathleen Kennedy for the rest of my life simply because she gave me 5 years of Star Wars at a time when I had already made my peace with Star Wars being totally over. So just for the fact, and you can criticize the sequel trilogy all you want. We all saw those movies in theaters multiple times. Like Comic Book Guy, let's not pretend that we didn't. So Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi, Solo, Rise of Babu Frick, all of that is because of Kathleen Kennedy. So once again, just like I said in episode 1 or episode 2 of the podcast, gosh, it's been 4 years at this point, I said Kathleen Kennedy can have my body whenever she wants because she gave me 5 years of Star Wars. I'm just saying the offer's still out there. The offer's still good, but I do agree with your original point. Sorry, it's not that side characters don't work. Side characters do work if you have really good writing. If
you give them a compelling story
yeah.
that moves the franchise forward,
yeah.
fans will show up.
Yeah, but that's the key thing.
You have to have a compelling story.
You can't take shortcuts with the storytelling. No. And here's the other part. All these people saying, Star Wars is no place for woke politics. That's factually incorrect. Because the original trilogy is the story of the Viet Cong.
Yeah.
Really, George Lucas has said this. The Rebel Alliance is the Viet Cong. Star Wars is woke. The thing is, it was a really good story.
It was a compelling story.
People look past the politics because it's a really good story.
It was told in a different way than people expected it to be.
Yeah.
And, it made people empathize with their enemy.
Yeah. They're very badass enemy.
You know, so it's the umbrage I have for Kathleen Kennedy is that, and again, we both know that Star Wars is probably more left-leaning than right-leaning, okay? From the very beginning, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to 100% say that. I'm not going to sit there with my hands over my eyes saying, no, that's not true, okay? Because that's 100% true.
The guy that made THX 1138 would not make a political movie?
Yeah.
I'm shocked, I tell you.
That movie is all about police brutality and fascism and all kinds of other things that people don't want to talk about.
And American Graffiti, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, is about the last good time before Vietnam.
Yeah. So you can't sit here and tell me that it's not when it is, okay? Don't shit in a chocolate pudding cup and tell me it's chocolate pudding, okay? The umbrage that I have with Kathleen Kennedy is that she let Rian Johnson make his own movie for The Last Jedi. And that movie did not fit tonally with what came before from The Force Awakens.
I would offer, respectfully, the counter-argument that Kathleen's true sin was not making JJ make a sequel to Ryan's movie. Because I'm one of those people that stands for The Last Jedi. I still do believe that The Last Jedi was the strongest movie in that trilogy. Sorry.
I'm going to respectfully disagree.
And I'm not even
honestly,
mad about Luke doing the Force projection. I am mad about that. It was a cool fight.
Honestly, to me, it's not...
You are looking at the fantastic, fantastic cover of The Mandalorian, the manga, Volume 2, adapted by Yusuke Osawa. I love, love, love this illustration, and the colors are outstanding. The first 2 pages of this are in full color, then it goes into black and white, as is the usual standard for manga. I love this. Episode 5 of the manga. This is the one where Mando gets robbed by the Jawas. This is such an awesome illustration, and again, the coloring is exquisite. I wish I'd started with Volume 1, but whatever. I mean, it's not like I haven't seen the TV show already, and this is an adaptation. It's not a new story. But I'm lucky that I got my hands on this just in time. With The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in theaters today, I'm super excited. I am about to go see it with Space Wizard in just a minute. I actually kind of like the theme. Yeah, the thematic thing was cool for the sequel trilogy. All right, so Episode 7 is A New Hope. Episode 8 is The Empire Strikes Back. Episode 9 is Return of the Jedi. I get it. You know, the reboot theme. You can do that. But again, the criticism goes to it's about storytelling and character development.
Right.
Why am I getting more character development from these movie characters from comic books than I have from the actual movies that they're in?
And see what and this is not just Rian Johnson's fault, but it's also J.J. Abrams' fault. And this is actually one of the sins that I will say, yes, no, J.J. Abrams is responsible for this one. Okay?
What is J.J. Abrams responsible for?
There was no reunion between Han, Luke, and Leia.
Oh, yeah, that reunion should have happened.
Getting them together in the same room, you know, should have happened in that first movie.
Yeah.
Because look at what happened a year later. Carrie Fisher dies.
Which, by the way, when Princess Leia gets blown into space, when I'm watching that movie, I was just thinking to myself, well, they've boxed themselves in an interesting conundrum.
I said that too. I'm like, well, they just fucking killed Leia. And it's like, that's again, some of the umbrage of what I'm talking about.
Oh, no, actually, when I said it was at the end of The Last Jedi, I was like, wait. Your alive actor is the one that you killed off at the movie, while your dead actor is the one whose character is still alive.
Yeah.
How does this work? How are you guys getting out of that box? Good luck.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, they got out of the box, though. They got out of the box.
Also, they totally nerfed Luke. You know, they made him look like a major disappointment. And again, this is something that some of the blame does go to JJ, okay? Why did you have to totally kill off the Jedi Order that was barely being started?
Yeah.
You know? Why did you have to do that?
I was okay with the trilogy starting on a dark note. So I know a lot of people were offended by basically what the rebellion fought for, you know, going down the drain. I thought that was an interesting angle. Okay, they fought, they won the war, but then somehow everything went to hell in the 30 years after that. That's interesting. Now tell me how it happened. And we sort of get it. Okay, Snoke popped up somewhere, and then Ben Solo killed everybody. And then we learn a little bit later, okay, Luke let him down. But again, that's about all we have. I believe that we knew more about Anakin Skywalker and the Clone Wars just from the original trilogy than we do about the New Republic and the New Jedi Order from the sequel trilogy. And that goes back to the writing. So it is what it is. You know, some productions are going to be better than others. Some are going to have better writing than others. But again, a lot of problems that seemed to plague the sequel trilogy, they really seem to have made efforts to avoid in Andor, and also some of the other shows like Skeleton Crew, which I do appreciate.
Well, like I said, make a compelling story.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the moment you set up your pulpit and start preaching about politics, like,
People will accept your politics if you give them a good story.
Right. A New Hope. Yeah, there were political messages there.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's just be real. But it wasn't male chauvinism bad. You know, I'm gonna have my purple-haired admiral slap the hotshot pilot. You know, why was that necessary?
Well, yeah, you really can't be... So that's the thing. You can have strong female protagonists. You can have female leaders.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with that. But I think where they lost some people is... You really can't be calling your audience an asshole.
Yeah.
Because that tends to turn some people off. They're saying, wow, I came here to support you, and you're, grossly offended me. There is a difference between people getting butthurt about Black Panther because, for the first time in history, there's a superhero who doesn't look like me. And then, you never see Black Panther, saying, white people suck.
Right.
You never see any of that. You just see a black superhero doing really good things. That's all.
Yeah.
You've got your own thing, and he's doing good things, and he's doing his own thing. He's not hating on anybody. He's not bringing anybody down. So I think that's where they lost some people. But again, I've said it multiple times already. In Andor, nobody was complaining about woke Star Wars when the two women were attractive. Mm-hmm. So
when
again,
they're both 50-something-year-old.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see older folks making out. But when it was young, beautiful women, yeah, nobody was complaining. Go figure. So, if I remember correctly, your Life Day gift had some swag, a little bit of Mando and Grogu swag, some Star Wars playing cards, some comic books in there, off-brand lightsaber. Well, I mean, they're fun comic books, but I thought that, whoa, man. So, I read War of the Bounty Hunters, which was 35 or 36 comic books in its totality. Wowza, I seriously underestimated that task. So totally worth it. It was really cool reading literally every installment in a multi-series crossover event. This was way bigger than Shadows of the Empire could possibly dream of being.
I find it very telling that Rachel is sitting there defending the sequel trilogy, saying that if you read all of the backstories of all the novels, that you would understand what's going on. And it's like, yeah, that's not how a movie works.
Why
bro.
you gotta read 60 books to watch a movie?
Why do you have to read 60 books to watch a movie?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't have to. The movie should be the jumping on point and the jumping off point.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you're interested in what happens after that, you have these characters that you could jump onto for their book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But to know what's going on in this sordid state of affairs, you shouldn't have to read all that backstory.
Yes. Oh, and one other thing, Rachel, for shame. So I let her borrow the initial War of the Bounty Hunters graphic novel. Mm-hmm. And she had just resigned her position at that one place. So she had just about a full month before she needed to clear out or anything like that. And then I checked back with her before she left. Hey, have you read War of the Bounty Hunters? She said, not yet. And I said, well, I need my book back, yo. Like, you're leaving. Yo. So now I'm sad that Rachel was not able to co-experience War of the Bounty Hunters with me, because I'm like, well, if I tell you what happens, I'm going to be the spoiler asshole.
You said that one place instead of...
Yeah, that one place. But yeah, Rachel, oh my goodness. Pearls Before Swine, you should have read War of the Bounty Hunters so that we could be sipping a virgin margarita and talking about it right now. Literally, right now. But no. No.
I love that she's going to say something like that. It's like, no, bitch. That's the whole point of watching the fucking movie.
And how you going to hold on to the... She held on to it for like 3 weeks. How are you not going to read War of the Bounty Hunter when it's just staring at you for 3 weeks? Oh my gosh. Although, no, to be fair, I've had issues number 1 and 2 of Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red for almost a month now, and I haven't gotten to those yet. Damn, I gotta do that. But I've also been reading High Republic, which is pretty good. I do like it, but I don't understand what the big deal that other Star Wars fans have been making about the High Republic.
What's that?
I don't understand the big deal that other Star Wars fans have been making about the High Republic.
There's a character in there
I'm enjoying it.
that is just a giant fucking rock.
I don't think I've got... Oh, yes, he is there. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That one, I just didn't even try to understand that one. I said, you know what? I'm just going to wait around for the plot line to get back to Yoda. Because you do get Yoda in the High Republic. I mean,
right.
He is of age to be doing epic Jedi stuff.
But the funny part to me is that, they wanted it to be this big lead up to the Acolyte. And then the Acolyte bombed and then got canceled. And I think that what Kathleen Kennedy was trying to do was groom somebody like Leslie Headland to take over and be her replacement. But now that the Acolyte has been canceled, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you might be right with that theory, although I did enjoy the Acolyte. I thought that was well done.
I never got into it.
I did not understand the Yeah, the only character that I was never able to particularly care about was the Green Jedi Master, and the actress did a spectacular job being a Jedi. I just couldn't care about that one character. But the protagonist, the thing with her twin, the Night Sisters as live action. Yeah, you get to see the Night Sisters in Ahsoka, but you get to see a little bit more of them in this one. They're doing their witchcraft. I thought that was all really well done. The Sith Lord guy, I thought he was cool. So I enjoyed all of the Acolyte. I was kind of bummed that to hear that it was not going to get renewed. But I was very pleasantly surprised by Skeleton Crew. And I'm glad that I stuck through it because I
enjoyed Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, I enjoyed Skeleton Crew immensely once Jude Law actually got onto the series. So the first 2 episodes, I will admit, I was really just white-knuckling it and sticking around to see if this would get better when Jude Law got there. Once he got there and you've got Jude Law and the kids, now you've got a balanced cast.
Yeah.
But before he gets there, you've just got these kids running around in space, doing kid stuff. It's a kid's show.
Yeah.
Once he got there, the dynamic totally changed. Burn that rubber. Yeah, so once Jude Law got there, the dynamic totally changed. He brought that je ne sais quoi to it, and it was a killer show. I dug it.
I smell his own farts, Alan Moore.
You're still on that.
I'm still on that.
You're still on that. Although, I will say one thing I do appreciate about the High Republic, the part that I'm reading right now in High Republic Adventures, they are starting to drop hints about the great works. One of which will be the great work that the adults are working on in Skeleton Crew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that particular job that they have, that secret job, that great work, they're starting to hint at that in High Republic. So I appreciate where, these little places where Disney is tying stuff together. I do appreciate things about War of the Bounty Hunters, where they are bringing things in to bridge the original trilogy with the sequel trilogy, and then the prequel trilogy with the sequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy with stuff from the Clone Wars. That stuff is cool. Hey everybody, it's Darth Zach.
And Space Wizard 81.
And we just saw The Mandalorian and Grogu. Be sure to check out the Rangers of the Old Republic episode that we just uploaded. And then come back on Monday where we will do our actual Mandalorian and Grogu review episode.
Yeah. May the Force be with you.